Hello Internet, I'm HamsterBomb.
I'm Zach.
And this is Video Games, and we're going to talk about HITBOX.
Video games, the video game?
This is HITBOX Video Game Podcast. We are going to just start talking about all sorts of video games that we love. And you know what? We didn't have enough mini-series going on in HITBOX simultaneously. We decided to go back and start another one. You know, maybe it was because we weren't talking about enough old games, like our yearly ones we're doing. We're in the 2000s. I want the variety, man. I want to bounce around and talk about all sorts of stuff. Because all sorts of games are fun, man. I still like booting up this NES Classic and playing all sorts of stuff in 2024. These are still wonderful.
Well, what's the phrase, variety is the spice of life?
Yeah,
so,
and heck, so many of these games, and if you modify the Dart thing, of course, you can put thousands on here. I still have, even just looking at the program right now, I have like 80 megs left of space, and that doesn't sound like much. That's a ton when we're talking about NES games. So, and you can put so many things on here. You can put like the entire freaking library. So it's wonderful to have that variety. We can play through the entire thing. But of course, that's not really what we're going to be doing today. Of course, I mean, just trying to play the entire NES library would probably take us years. To, like, not even film. Just to, like, dabble for, like, 10 minutes, one each, would take years. Which is cool. Like, even way back then, we had so many different games to choose from.
Would we be including, like, the bootlegs and the unofficial carts as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And all the hacks and all the other weird stuff that...
We'd be playing Action 52 then.
Oh my
playing all the 52 games on that.
Well, there's, like, 1001 cartridges, too, that they made. That absolute jank. Those kind of garbage things. Man, I was even tricked by one of those, and I was so mad when I was a kid. It was one of those, like, magazine fun drives when I was in school. And, like, the top prize for selling the most was this handheld gaming thing that supposedly had, like, 8,000 games or something on it.
8,000 games in one.
Yeah, whatever
I know exactly
it said.
What you're talking about.
I saw that, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. I need to get that, so I busted my butt. I worked so hard. I finally did it. And I got to that point, and it was horrible.
Let me guess, was it one of those things where it's like the games are made up of all these similar looking squares on an LCD screen?
It was one of them where there was actually, I think, only 6 total games, and they were very similar. But the problem was, what they considered a new game was all they did was they, like, slightly modified the speed of something, slightly modified the size of your little car you're moving, your jumping thing. Anything, any little tiny minute change, and of course they weren't tested. It was just completely random hodgepodge garbage just to make it say supposedly there's 8,000, which was a complete lie. So I was very, very mad, and whenever I see any of those cartridges that say that, I'm like, no. I don't trust you.
Well, technically.
Yeah, and nowadays we actually do have access to going back and playing a system with 1,000 or 8,000 games on it if we actually wanted to.
Like the Masterpiece Granddad number 7.
Yes, of course. So instead, today what we wanted to do was kind of start a new little side series with these where we say, all right, let's go back in time again on HITBOX, but this time you are just Christmas morning given a video game console. And the stipulation is you are only allowed to choose 10 games for it.
Right.
What are those 10? What are your all-time, like, you can only play those 10 ever?
It's like a variation of the whole desert island scenario.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I was coming up with it. Like,
only it's a lot friendlier.
Yes, well, also the desert island idea cuts out some chaff that you really shouldn't be thinking of. Like, you shouldn't think, okay, well, if we're picking NES, clearly, for this one to start us with. We kind of started the HITBOX years with NES, too.
Yes.
So, if you're starting with an NES, don't think, like, Nintendo World Championships. Don't think Little Samson, because you're not hawking this for money. You want to play it. Now, you could play Nintendo World Championships and kind of get, like, a little cheap 3-in-1 thing there. I mean, that's sure, but what do you actually want to boot up and play? What do you want to play with this? Don't think about how much money it is. And then on top of that, don't think of actually getting to physically keep the peripherals or anything, like you get to display them in a case because you didn't want to play it. You didn't want to play Gyromite, you just wanted a Rob in your display case. You wanted a Power Glove, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna get that handball game. No, don't. None of that. Unless you actually do want to play Duck Hunt with a light gun that is somehow going to work with a tube TV that you don't own anymore because they don't make them.
Well, we can't because we went back in time.
Well, okay,
so
fine.
CRT TVs work.
but the mentality is,
Right.
like
You're just looking at the software
right. So
itself.
even if today you just were given an NES and we went into a retro game store, which some actually still exists. Kim actually just found one that's only like 15 minutes from here.
Oh dang.
Yeah, like we should probably go check it out.
Yeah, we really should actually.
So they say you get to walk in there. And what are you going to put your money? What do you want to buy? And I tell you can get 10 games. 10. That's a lot.
Yeah, 1980s money. 10 games, yeah.
That's a lot. But then when you look at the library, like here, we were complaining about the base NES Classic lineup being super small and not giving the NES the credit that it deserves. Okay?
But
this is small, and that's what, 30?
Yeah. It's something ridiculous like that, yeah.
Yeah, so pick 10. Oh god, so this was actually harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah, because I wanted to think I'm thinking it's like, well, what games have I played over the years? Not necessarily beat, but, enjoyed.
Yeah.
That I would actually want to include, but the more I thought about it, the more it's like, but this game does this mechanic so much better.
Exactly. Like, what genres do you want to cover? Because you don't want to just pick... just platformers or RPGs or like those flying shooters, of which there were thousands at the time back then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you want to pick, like, what's the standout of each thing. So it's kind of like a totally different way to think about retro games than what we were doing with the Hitbox years. Because there was a lot of stuff that could get, like, completely shelved because of the way that we're talking about years. So this time we're just going to say we're walking into that retro game store, and in pretty much no particular order, we're going to start talking about games that we would want to play on here.
Slam that list down on the table and said, my good sir or madam, give me them.
Yep, even though there's plenty, like, I would, if you actually took me into that gaming store, I would lose my mind. I don't know if I would actually be able to decide. It would probably take me hours.
Oh, I've got lists. I would be able to decide.
It would take,
but no, it would still take me a while.
To narrow it down.
Yes,
That's the thing. To narrow it down, it would take so long.
Yes.
You would be saying, nope, I'm sorry, I got to give up Balloon Fight if I'm going to move on to the next thing. And Balloon Fight's fun. Like, there's so many games that are really fun on here, but we're going to have to start skipping them. So since we're doing this in pretty much no particular order, we decided we were just going to alphabetize our lists.
Yeah.
We're just going to go with whoever alphabetically had the first one, which is actually you.
Aha!
And what's your first game?
We are looking at it right now. For those watching, it is Bubble Bobble.
Bubble Bobble! We did talk about this. In fact, I think we probably talked about all of these games during the year lineups.
I'm pretty sure we have, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, for those who didn't pay attention, didn't watch, or don't know what the heck a Bubble Bobble is, you play as a little dragon guy, either Bub or Bob. It is a single-screen action puzzle game, and you have a bubble. You gotta trap them in the bubbles, and you gotta pop them.
Yep.
And it basically goes on for forever. Like, this game has a ridiculous amount of levels.
It does, and they're all really interesting, too.
Yeah, like, the first one gets you, this one just gets you familiar with the mechanics and how things work, whereas in later stages, you're warping between the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen. There's, constant barrages of enemies. Like, here, now we've got more gaps in the platforms to try to deal with all the different monsters.
Yeah, you don't get them fast enough and they come right back.
Exactly, and there's different places on the level you can actually find in order to be able to get the secret fruits or gems we're seeing on screen.
I really like that you also don't take fall damage.
Yes.
Because there were so many games like Donkey Kong. You stub your toe in Donkey Kong and you're dead.
Oh yeah, well that's a relic from it being an arcade game originally.
Right.
It's like, oh hey, Mario, Mr. Jumpman himself, fell 5 feet and he died. It's like,
I always thought that was funny. They called him Jumpman, and he couldn't jump.
He just becomes the bad guy in later Donkey Kong.
I know, which was fun. I miss Mario being the bad guy. Like, they brought back the rivalry with the new Mario vs. Donkey Kong, which was really a remake. I know, it's not a new game. But, if it actually was, I would have loved it if Mario was the villain.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Yeah, let them be the bad guy again.
This is why I would really love to pick up this game. Like, if I had an NES and I just slap my money down and say, give me Bubble Bobble.
You can play this forever.
Oh, yeah. There's, almost 200 levels. Like, you get the first 100.
Even still, when you get there, there's still, score chasing and stuff. Like, you can still miss some of the points to gather.
Yeah, and there's,
I love the scrolling for the new levels, too. We talked about that before, but that's so cool.
Yeah, because you're actually...
finally got hit.
Yeah, because you're literally going down into a cave, and it's just showing you as you descend deeper and deeper down. And this game is no joke. Like, we're only on
getting really hard.
Yeah, we're on level 4, and the game's already busting you up for just thinking about playing it even.
Yeah.
So it's it's a lot of fun. I love this game a whole lot, and this would definitely be on one of my top picks if I had the money.
I was very pleasantly enamored seeing that you wanted to add this to your list because of how good it is.
Yeah, well,
and it's something that I couldn't fit on mine. That's the thing, like, only 10 games. Only 10! And I had to talk about just something else.
Right. Yep, and see, we've already got...
other hazards, the bubbles.
Yep, and the power-up. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, there's just so much going on in this game. And it's like, it's a perfect arcade conversion, I think. I think it's actually a little bit better than the arcade version. So, but that's just me. Anything you wanted to add about this?
It's not even on my list, and I love this game, and I already couldn't stop myself. But this next one that we want to talk about alphabetically, I feel for sure has to be on your list too.
Okay, what game is
so
this?
my first alphabetical one is Castlevania 1.
Yep, that was actually going to be my next one.
Okay, good. So we're kind of double dipping here. This game is so freaking good. So if we're already looking like Bubble Bobble, that's a great, like, action puzzler.
Yeah.
Castlevania is just a wonderful action adventure, but it's also kind of got that arcade to it, like that style where you can just continuously play this.
Yeah, exactly. Like the controls are very simple to get a hold of. A is to jump, B is your whip, up and B is your sub weapon.
Learn. Yeah.
Yes, the levels, I think after a while get a little easy to memorize, so it's like you know more about the castle as you go through.
Exactly.
Allowing you to get further to, Dracula, if you can get to Dracula. One of the things I love is that there are infinite continues. So it's like, hey, if
you just need to get to the next door, I think. Or like, there's certain loading checkpoints.
Yeah, with your lives, once you get to a certain door, that's a checkpoint. But,
so eventually, if you don't turn the system off, you should be able to do it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You're tenacious enough. So yeah, and we're on that desert island. We're playing this forever, man.
And that desert island being childhood and not enough money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it would be zero money at this point.
It would be zero money.
All of it on 10 NES games.
And we're talking, dude, it's like the inflation rate of 1986 money to this. It's like, this would be like, what, $80 in today's money? Close to it?
People don't seem to understand. They're complaining about how expensive games are now. With inflation, games actually cost a lot less now than they used to.
Right.
Can you imagine that? Like, you can buy Elden Ring for what would be less money than going out to buy Castlevania when it comes out.
At the time, yeah.
At the time. That's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous, but some of the reasons I love this game personally is just the art style, like just the general themes, this mashup.
How mad it is.
Yeah, how insane like it all is. Like you've got, of course, your Halloween-y kind of enemies, your bats and mummies and stuff like that, but it's that mix of like
mythological creatures. There's like frickin' cryptids sometimes.
Yeah, Medusa's in here.
Yeah.
Alongside like the universal
Went for a splash.
The universal monster version of Frankenstein and all that. And I mean the game opens up with like a film reel actually going through a projector.
I know, yeah, and it kind of offensively didn't credit anybody who worked on it for the sake of having jokes for horror film creators.
At the time, it's like the companies really just wanted you just to know that it's like, oh, this is just a Konami joint. Whoever made this, they don't matter.
It's Konami. Yeah,
right.
Konami made it.
Exactly, but it's like, I'm glad that got eventually changed up, because at the time, companies, they didn't have a big pick from a lot of people at the time.
Yeah, they really didn't.
They were afraid of people getting poached by other organizations.
And unfortunately, today, like, one thing that probably could have been its own more relevant episode of Hitbox is there's a lot of layoffs going on right now.
Oh, Lord, yes.
Some people are saying that the entire AAA video game industry is just, like, a big bubble and it's bursting.
Yeah, from what I understand, I don't know much about it, but I just heard that Sony doesn't really have a whole lot in the way of first-party Sony titles upcoming for the PlayStation 5 this year. But they're also saying that it's in its latter stages of life.
That's frightening to me.
Like, wait a minute.
There's, 6 exclusives on that console?
At this point in time, that aren't on PC. Yeah, basically.
Maybe 7, because Rebirth just came out, like, a couple days ago.
Yeah, but that's a timed exclusive
as we record this.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's only, like, a couple months, too.
Right. Yeah, so it's not going to even be worth... I don't know. It's weird, but that's a discussion, I think, for another day.
It is. Instead, if anything, like, I just still have a ton of fun playing Castlevania.
Absolutely.
And if that's the case, like, you can go back and play this thing now and still have a lot of fun with it. How come, newer games, we have to, like, lay off tons of people, and it doesn't need to cost that much money to develop these things. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. But large corporations want to turn this into, like, its own Hollywood. You know, the gold rush of running in for trying to spend a ton of money, be the biggest one, most bombastic, make the most cash. And of course that bubble will burst, but it still doesn't really matter too much to me because the games that I love already exist, and there's so many I want to go back and play.
Yeah, like I didn't really play a whole lot of new games when they came out in 2023.
Yeah, like what are we losing at this? Like The Last of Us Part 3? I'm sorry, I feel like Neil Druckmann's kind of destroyed. He's one of those big AAA guys. Like I feel like that's just there's some good AAA stuff. But there's a lot of it I feel like is just kind of tainting the industry.
Yeah, one thing that I think I sometimes need a reminder of is that I've got a giant backlog of amazing games from over the course of decades I could go to.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
you know.
We get so distracted with them.
Yeah. Oh, it's all about hype.
I had to peek at your list so I could jump to our next one here.
Sorry.
So tell me what it is while I jump to this, because it's technically not on the NES Classic. So
you passed it.
I did, yep.
Yes.
I'm being stupid.
No, you're fine. Yeah, this wasn't on the NES Classic. Still blows my mind. Anyway, we have Contra.
Yeah, they even went to Konami. Like, what? Didn't they even get Metal Gear on this?
Maybe.
No, probably
we got Super C.
Yeah, they got Super C, and we were just playing Castlevania. Castlevania 1 and 2, but not 3.
That still makes no freaking sense.
No.
Regardless, we're playing Contra, one of the greatest run and gun games of all time.
It's so freaking hard.
It is so freaking hard, but hey, you know what? I am not afraid to say it. I've used the Konami code to beat this game. And
that's still impressive. Like, even doing it with the Konami code.
Yes.
For the sake of time, I didn't even input it just to start this, but I still know the up, down, down, left, right, everybody start.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
You have to do it so many times. It's really just like, that's your checkpoint code. Like, how do I continue playing?
But anyway, so...
Yeah, I would have started without it.
Exactly. So the reason I would have wanted this game as a kid, I just love those really big...
One hit and you're dead. That's...
Yeah.
That's the game.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
It's brutal, but the thing is, it's just so easy to get in and just enjoy this game. And as a kid, I really did enjoy, like, those kind of fast-paced games that you could just really just get in and just enjoy. Wow, we're done already.
Yeah, that's it. I'm telling you, that's it.
That is it.
But I love that, like, it does kick you right back in when you start again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I believe this also, if you beat a stage, it, like, does the Castlevania thing where it lets you continue from that point.
I believe so. It's been a while since I played this, but yeah, it's something like that. And honestly, it's like, it's just such an easy game to get into, like I said. It's so much fun. They throw so much crazy stuff at you. And this is a way better game, I think, again, than the arcade game, even from back in the day.
Yeah, a lot of the NES stuff just seems to play better. It has that charm, too.
Yeah, it still has a lot of a design philosophy from its arcade roots. However, it's also made with the at-home consumer in mind.
Right.
To where it's like, oh, yeah, you can just, like, get a password for later, or just, you know, keep continuing until, you know, mom says it's time for dinner.
Yeah, which was kind of... the end of times when that would actually happen. And I even remember that being a problem in the GameCube era. You know, someone just says, "Oh no, it's time to save." There's not a save here. I
gotta go back.
Turn the game off. We're leaving. It's time for soccer practice.
And then you just pretend that you just saved it and just left it running up your parents' electric bill just to continue.
A lot of times, like, I'd have to turn, like, keep the Game Boy Advance on, or the rare ones of those would say they would have a sleep mode, and I would never trust it. Like, I'm so far in this Yoshi's Island level. I got like all the flowers. I'm just missing this one red coin. I don't know where it is. I can't go right now. I can't.
Right, exactly.
Test the sleep mode.
Test the sleep mode. But it's this game I still think holds up, and I'm excited, but I'm trying to keep my expectations tempered for the remake that's coming up, the Galuga effort or whatever it's called.
Each time they've tried to do another Contra, they've never quite gotten it quite right. So I don't.
Yeah.
If I keep my expectations at rock bottom, I can only be impressed.
Surprised. Yes.
So I'm with you there.
Oh god, like I said, I do not trust Konami anymore, and that's the saddest part.
Not a little, no. So my next alphabetical one,
is
a puzzle game.
Puzzle game?
It's a puzzle game.
Oh, what are we puzzling?
Dr. Mario.
Dr. Mario.
Dr. Mario. Let's just keep it like here.
Yeah, sure.
So
what is it about Dr. Mario that you would have wanted, like, more than anything as a kid?
So this is kind of like a forever puzzle game. I'm trying to think of, like, a better way to describe it, but it really is something that, like, you can start it and it'll just get addicting.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I showed this game to Kim, and she now has a Dr. Mario problem, and she seems to specifically love this version of it. She even got disappointed in Dr. Mario World, as I think the rest of the world did.
I never played it, so I couldn't tell you.
It's just... It's one of those things that had, like, a single-player campaign. It wasn't bad, and then Nintendo just said, you know, no, we're getting rid of this, because it's not making enough mobile cash, man.
Give me the money. I'm a doctor. I've got bills to pay.
But no, this is really kind of like the simple color matching game, but there is so much more to it. You're actually trying to eliminate viruses, and trying to do this while I'm talking at the same time is extremely hard.
Yeah, this game has that sort of what I would like to probably refer to as the Tetris effect.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different thing altogether.
That is a different thing altogether. That was a little confusing.
Yeah, I guess it has that same addictive quality as Tetris, rather.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can start a game up easily, and then the more you play, the more you're like, I gotta keep going, I gotta keep the score going, I gotta go, 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 go.
Yep, and it gets faster and faster.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just it's not my favorite puzzle game, but every so often when I've booted this up, I'm like, yeah, we gotta keep this gravy train a-rolling. Ooh, you can get a big stack right
Bam.
there. Yeah. Yeah,
See, it's fun. It's satisfying.
It really is.
Getting all those silly little colors to match.
And it's not overly, like, complicated. Like, it doesn't have that strange enough twist to where it makes the game...
Oh, yeah, it's super obvious.
Yeah.
As opposed to playing, like, you know there's a Game Boy version of this? Not color, Game Boy.
Yeah.
Like, what were they thinking? This is a color game.
Right. It's like they only two of the colors are like different shades of gray, and one is like a mesh color or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you...
Unfortunately, blocks don't match. I'm doing this just because I'm trying to eliminate lots at once.
Yeah, right. I don't blame you.
Because I've already buried myself trying to talk too much at the same time.
Yeah, but you're still playing, and we're still having a grand old time.
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah. But I can totally see why you would want this game, especially as a kid, where it's like, if you didn't have Tetris, hey, you got Dr. Mario, you got a recognizable character.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this is a little bit more fun than Tetris, to me.
That's perfectly fair.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This is something that, like, when Kim is sick, she fires this up and just plays it for, like, 3 hours.
Hey, when you're sick, you might as well.
Yeah, but if I would want, like, a puzzle game that's... The Falling Block, I think we should just call it that instead of the Tetris kind of...
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't play anything like Tetris. It's almost like an organic Tetris that you have to solve while it is falling.
It's like a mix of Connect 4 with Tetris.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, except if Connect 4 could, like, float, because Connect 4, it would always fall to the bottom. Yeah. Viruses can just start, like, in the air, and you'll have to take that extra chaos into trying to solve it. And it will, as you saw when I was just playing it, it'll create a huge mess if you're not paying attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's the extra genius part of it. You need, like, a little bit of chaos to make your puzzle game still feel organic. And, like, you can play it forever. And that's the perfect kind of puzzle game that I would want to play.
Absolutely.
What's your next one?
We are going to need to go into the folder.
Oh, you're right.
Yep. And we're going to go to D.
The D. Gotta get the D.
We gotta get that D.
Let me guess.
Go ahead and guess. Go ahead and guess.
I already know what it is, though.
It is a Dragon Warrior 3. A.K.A. Dragon Quest 3.
I really wanted to put an RPG on mine, and I guess minor spoiler, I technically don't have one. And it makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, I really was leaning for, like, Final Fantasy 1, Digital Devil Saga, Megami Tensei.
Yeah.
Like, there's good ones. Even Zelda 2. I'm even the weird guy for giving Zelda 2. And I still...
That makes sense, though, honestly.
This kind of is more of, like, Final Fantasy NES, but more.
Yeah, like, I was going at it between Final Fantasy and one of the Dragon Quest games, because I absolutely adore the Final Fantasy series, as you know. But it's just like, I don't know. Something about the earlier Dragon Quests, I think, are better than most of the early Final Fantasies.
I can see that. Yeah, that's why I ended up leaning against it. Even though, like I was saying before, I want to cover my bases. I want to feel like if I have only so many choices of what to play with, I want to have an RPG on there. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, but none of them on. When we get the Super Nintendo, I'm going hog wild.
Absolutely.
But NES, it's almost there, and the competition. this is an apples to apples kind of thing. Like, I'm comparing, you know, if I asked you, pick just, what are the 5 best movies you've ever seen in your life? Now you're comparing, like, but I love this this horror movie, but that's not even close to the same, like, this classic. You know, here's, like, the original Star Wars, but then there's, like, It's a Wonderful Life. They're completely different films.
Absolutely,
you know,
yes.
and when you slap them together like that, it sounds silly. But video games are all experiences, and the experience is completely different each time. So it's even more of a radical change than that.
Yeah, where Final Fantasy 1 feels like a Dungeons and Dragons game brought to the NES. And, you know, for what it is, it's actually a really fun game. But with Dragon Quest, the thing I appreciated most, and I think what I would have enjoyed about it as a kid, is just the openness of the game and the fact that, you know, you can make your party at the beginning of the game and just go in. You're just told, explore, go find the big bad. And, you know, it's like, live up to your father's legacy. All right, I can do that. And it's huge. And when you think you're done with the game, it opens up even more. And I think that that's just absolutely brilliant. This is where I think a lot of the JRPG conventions we all know and can love and hate, depending on who you are.
Yeah.
Just really coalesce into something special. Now,
I think so, too.
Yeah.
This is a good pick, too. See, like I said, I was very conflicted with them, and this one, I just haven't, like, gotten far enough to actually feel content that I would put that on a list for me.
That's fair.
I totally see why you would want to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Anything else about it?
No, it's a great game.
I don't think anybody's questioning why you wanted to put a Dragon Quest game on your list anyway.
No.
Much less 3. 3 is still known as one of the best ones. There's a reason that's the one that they want to do the big, beautiful HD remaster that's never coming out.
I am still... Yeah, please, just give us something.
Nope.
Guess not. Whatever. But what's your next one, sir?
My next one, I might throw you off.
What is it?
It's Excitebike!
Not me, I know you.
This may be one of those cases where it's kind of weird. I kind of wish I could have had the Famicom Disk System version instead.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because versus Excitebike, now you can actually play, well, it's in the title, with multiple people.
Yes.
And now it becomes like this dynamic Mario Kart on NES.
Yeah,
It's so cool in multiplayer, but also, this is like some of the coolest, I want to say physics, even though it's really just math, that I've seen on the NES.
Yeah.
The scrolling is so fast, it can start doing all sorts of interesting stuff.
Right.
You can time attack, so it's also kind of like a game you could play forever.
Yeah, and
try and get better at it.
And can't you actually make your own tracks?
You can.
Yeah.
It's not something I ever really got interested in this, but like if this was a game that, like, that's only helping me justify wanting this as one of my top 10.
Exactly, and also too with the Famicom Disk System, I think you can actually save the tracks you made, right?
I think so, yeah.
Right, so I can totally see that. Yeah, it's again one of those arcade games where you just can really just pick up and, like you said, just easily play. It's such an easy game to actually just enjoy.
Yeah.
And you don't have to sit, if you don't want to play for hours just to get a new score, you don't have to. You can just mess around, make
it's just
couple
a great
tracks.
Yeah, and of course it gives you numbers. You got records right there, which is also another thing that's, to me, I really appreciate it when you have a very old game that is more interested in time than it is a score, because that's something that nowadays people are only interested in the times. You know, like we have speed runs for a reason. You know, people are interested in how fast you can do something, not necessarily what's the top score you got in Super Mario World. Who cares about Super Mario World score? You literally can grind it forever. You know, that doesn't mean anything. Versus how fast could you get to Bowser? Now it's interesting. Yeah, and like doing that this early, now this game actually aged really well, and so did a lot of other games that are interested in the time and not so much the actual, like, points, which is, you know, we're coming from arcades. You know, that's all an arcade game can do. It doesn't care about time. You don't want to play an arcade game for a short amount of time.
No.
You feel cheated.
Exactly.
Well, instead they kill you quickly.
Give us 50 more cents and you can keep playing.
Yeah, exactly.
How's that sound, kid?
It's a shame you couldn't beat that Red Devil over there. But you should probably put in another quarter and you give it another try.
Were you blindsided by all them orcs that just happened to pile on you at the worst possible time? Too bad. 50 cents, kid.
Right. So what's your next one?
My next one is going to be Gradius.
Ooh.
I freaking love Gradius.
Yes.
Gradius, Gradius, however you want to say it.
Another Konami one.
Yeah, no, Konami, I don't think really missed much back in this
They
time.
really didn't, but they tried back then.
Yeah,
too.
that's just
a big
it.
important thing.
Yep. What I love about Gradius is that not only is it a game about trying to memorize different power-ups and abilities, but it's one where it's like you can try to build up your loadout of your ship as you go along, because you don't just get power-ups like in a lot of other space shooters. You know, you don't just pick up an icon that says power up.
Power up. Yeah.
Right.
There's all different like little pictures of what they can do. It's always the same thing, and you have to collect a quantity of them and choose how to use them.
Right, exactly. And so just to be able to have that sort of freedom to be able to get if you wanted to save up to get the option that's like second from the last, or if you just want to bulk up on speed ups at the beginning so that way you make it easier on yourself to dodge the enemies and their patterns and stuff, you can do that. And I think, again, it's that openness and willingness to let the player try to experiment that I think really helps make this game stand out from a lot of other shooters. For at least from a more casual perspective, because that's where I fall in these kind of shooter games. I'm a much more casual enjoyer. I don't like to sit there and play like bullet hells where it's like I have to memorize a pattern and just ever so slightly just
I'd rather
tweak
feel
the
overpowered
pixels.
myself.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Anything you wanted to say about Gradius?
I was super close to not putting Gradius in particular on here, but instead putting just some of the many shooters. I think I like the vertical scrolling ones personally.
Yeah.
I really like stuff like Gun Knack or anything where you get not only the power-ups as you're playing it, and nothing that works the same way that Gradius does, where you can actually choose what to do with it, but instead I love the ones where you can get money on top of the regular power-ups, and then you can hit shops, and once again you get to customize that. That's the hook. That's what really makes these good. I was so tempted to do that, but like I said, only 10. Only 10.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is harder than it looks to decide these. So, my next one.
Yes, what is your next one?
You know how much I love Ice Climber, and I just adore Kid
yeah.
Icarus. These are some of the... I hate both of these games. No, I'm talking about Kirby's Adventure!
Hey, what a coinky-dink. That was my next one, actually.
Good! Because this game is outstanding for the NES. Like,
absolutely.
It looks and plays like an early Super Nintendo game, because it kind of is. This, as you can see, comes out in 1993.
Yeah.
This was a little weird to even start talking about when we were doing our years episode, because we were talking about Super Nintendo at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and here we go. HAL Laboratories showing up way too late with an NES game that ends up being amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. Mr. Sakurai did an amazing job with this game, I must say.
Yeah, this is some of the best control, some of the best, like, concepts, the power-ups.
Yeah.
You know, this is the first time Kirby is Kirby. Kirby games have existed before then, but this is when we actually get the items and all that.
Exactly.
And here, I'm gonna switch that for Cutter. Cutter's good.
Oh yeah, Cutter is amazing. So what I love about this game, like you said, is just the power-ups and just the whimsy that this game has. Like, even in this early stage of the game, like those little witch enemies are just brushing along, just minding their own business.
That was effectively a cutscene, and it didn't do anything but, like, add to the charm of the game.
Exactly,
The game is so cute, but it also still plays really well. I think it's got a comfortable difficulty.
Yeah, and
some people, like, back then, definitely would have said it's too easy.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, nowadays, this is comfortable.
Yeah, right. Like, it's not overwhelmingly difficult, but it's just difficult enough to sometimes keep you on your toes.
Right, like, even this opening boss is giving me some trouble.
Oh, yeah, against Bomb Brother Jr. or whatever his name was. Yeah.
Poppy Bros.
Poppy
right?
Bro Jr.
Poppy
Yes,
Bros.
Poppy Bro Jr. Excuse me.
He doesn't have his bomb ability yet, but he's just a boss at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I inhaled him, you don't even get anything.
Oh, no. I thought you got Crash.
Not in... Well, maybe the boss, but, like, in this one, like, Poppy Bros, the regular enemy, you can inhale him and nothing will happen yet.
Confused.
Yeah, well, that's because later Kirby games are going to establish stuff.
So much more, yeah.
Yes.
It's a fun game. It's got a really cute concept, and the fact that it was
huge, too.
Yeah, it's got
a giant world. This really is kind of like playing Super Mario World, but on the NES. The giant map, we kind of saw it for a bit. You can, like, jump around, choose, like, in a hub world where you want to go. There's bonus areas. It's inspired so much from Super Mario Brothers 3. And, like, trying to make that giant or open world. making all these different doors and different colored rooms, all sorts of different enemies. That it's so much. It's so much.
Yeah.
If you want like a wonderful, super refined platforming game, this might be the best one on the NES.
Yep. And
Even over the Mario Brothers games, as much as I love them.
And if you were lucky enough, when the 3DS was still alive, there was a 3D-ish remake that they made, which really cleaned the game up.
Remade, because the game wasn't designed for layering like that.
Correct.
Yeah, I only got to try that out since you pointed it out to me, and wow, it's so cool.
Fixes up a lot of the slowdown, all the flicker and everything.
Yeah, it's weird, the stuff that they chose to do for that. I think they even did Kid Icarus.
Yeah, they did.
But they didn't do, like, you know... There's so many games that would have worked with, but like Kid Icarus, the background's like black all the time. I'm not gonna see the black as farther back. Like, what do you think? At Kirby, like everything is colorful, you know, and it's a beautiful game to choose for that.
Absolutely.
So, what is your next one? I guess you're getting a bonus one.
Oh, hey, we're getting a bonus one. Well, the next game...
If this was both of ours, unless I'm going twice, you're gonna finish early.
The Legend of Zelda.
And I could point out one stupid thing that I told Zach just earlier.
Oh, yeah.
NES Classic
does
its alphabetical order perfectly fine, except for The Legend of Zelda. You notice it should be right here between Kirby and Mario Brothers. You have to go all the way to the end. It put it under Z.
Yeah, and
Probably
I would have
stick it next to Zelda 2, because that's the name Zelda 2 versus The Legend of Zelda.
Oh, no, you know why? Because it's under T for because Tecmo Bowl is before it.
But even if it's...
I know,
it's under the... Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
You're right. Anyway, this is one of the best games ever made.
This honestly is one of the greatest games ever made, I will say. Again, if you notice a theme with a lot of the stuff I'm kind of choosing, it's like a lot of openness, and it's a lot of player-driven choice in how you want to tackle things. Because this game literally does not hold your hand.
Nope.
I just put you in that first safe screen, gives you a cave to explore, shows you that caves are a thing.
Yep, and then boom, enemies.
Yep, and if you don't
figure it out,
if you don't go to the cave, you don't have a means of fighting enemies.
Well, you could beat the game without it until you actually have to go kill Ganon at the very end with a sword strike.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love watching those speedruns. This game is crazy. Like, seeing what people can do with this.
Absolutely, and I don't think Nintendo really ever got close to this until they did Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I agree, and I really wish that they had that sort of creativity with the sequel, because it didn't...
Yeah, if we're gonna bring it up,
yeah, let's not bring it up. Let's not do that. I'm sorry, I don't like that game. Anyway, this one, though, there is... Yeah, you're right, there's so much freedom. It's so open. It's just a genius little game.
Like, if we wanted to, we could just go in, get the boomerang item, leave, not even pick up the Triforce piece, grab a few more hearts as a result of getting the boomerang, grind for some money, get the magic shield, and find more heart pieces, and heck, we could get the silver sword before we even come back and finish this dungeon.
Yeah, if you know where to go, what bushes to burn, you could end up getting all sorts of crazy stuff early.
Yep, and
or exploit the trick. I know you're gonna say.
Thank you.
Unlock the door so I don't have to waste the.
That's how I always do it.
Yeah, the game's not perfect, but it's still so well done. If anything, I really appreciate how much control we have with Link. Like, how organic, like, the boomerang is when we get that. Like, all the tools that you can use at your disposal. This game is so well made.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But anyway, so the thing that I really appreciate about it is that even though you can only move in 4 directions, the fact that later items give you either range or, like, versatility in your movement, like the boomerang that we're going to get.
Or open up new areas like bombs or the candle.
Yep,
or
exactly.
the raft. It goes on.
Yeah, even though there's limitations, they still work within the limitations of the NES and the game itself in order to craft something that really kind of gets you to scratch your head and at the time talk to people, because it's like, oh, did you
had to work together and figure out how to outsmart a dungeon, or maybe you can't find level 5 or something like that.
Yeah, you would just talk to your buddy and be like, oh, did you know that there was this place off to the east coast where you could take the raft and get a heart piece? Oh, no, I didn't know that. Well, did you know that...
take the raft. Oh, that's what the raft's for? Now I can take it over here. Oh, there's that dungeon I was trying to find.
Exactly. Where nowadays you can't get away with that. Like, even before a game is out, the internet has already data mined and found every secret for you.
Yeah.
Like, even before Breath of the Wild was, like, out for very long, everyone kind of figured out...
It was leaked, like weeks before then, and people already knew... Like, where all the traps were, and where all the secrets were, where to go to find the Master Sword, all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a real disappointment, because you don't really get to see that anymore, and the game itself is designed around you not having access to the answers and figuring out how you're going to solve it. It is very much a puzzle game as much as it is an action game. We will talk about that game forever. In fact, we probably should start doing some round twos on really old games like this that I reviewed. Yeah. Just so we can like really geek out over them, because I know we both want to.
Oh, absolutely.
Now I got kind of lost because that was 2 back-to-back doubles of ours, so should we try another one of yours?
Mine is starts with M for my next one.
Does it?
What is yours?
Does it, Zach? Does it?
One more to the left.
Oh. This is a good game, too. I considered putting this on my list, but once again, I just didn't have the freaking room. And I opted for the better M game on the NES. Anyway, we're playing Mega Man 2. Yeah. Specifically 2. And I, even though it looks weird, Nintendo was right to go specifically for 2 to put onto the classic. This is probably the best one they've ever made.
Yeah, it's the best. I would argue it's probably the best one of the original NES games, and also definitely the most recognizable.
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah. The thing is, some of the level design is still really unforgiving.
It can be,
that's really the only thing that was holding me back from putting it on the list. Because this is so much fun.
Well, I think it's a little...
Normal or difficult.
Well, the normal difficulty is actually easy mode, from what I understand. Difficult... I don't think...
There is no easy mode.
Well, in the Japanese version, I don't think you even had that option.
You're right, yeah.
It was just difficult.
It was just difficult, yeah. The game was just difficult.
So...
I forget who you're supposed to start with.
I always start with Metal Man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, of course, because he's got the best power-up. You just beat the whole friggin' game with that.
Oh, yeah, most of the Robot Masters are weak to Metal Weapons.
So are the enemies. Everything is weak to Metal Blade.
That's one of the big reasons. Like,
look at the backgrounds.
Yep, the animations, the background. The music is honestly what usually sells me on the Mega Man games. And I'm not the biggest fan of the original series. I'm more of a Mega Man X kind of person, if I had to pick a series within the series. Speaking of sub-series, oh my god, the Mega Man sub-series are... There's too many.
It goes on forever.
It does.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode just being confused.
Yeah, well, there was a Humble Bundle recently where you could get a whole bunch of the Mega Man collections.
Yeah.
And it included...
It was on Steam, though. That's the thing about Humble Bundle. Because, like, I'd have been all over that if it wasn't Steam.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, if it's a PC game, like, I mean, come on, let's be real. If you're playing it on your computer, just emulate it.
Yeah, well, so, yeah, I mean, if the option's available to me, I will pay for it, but, you know.
Right, me too.
But it's like, I would want to really play it on a Nintendo system, like you were saying.
Yes.
I get what you're going for.
If it was on Switch, sign me up.
Yeah, sign me the heck up. But regardless, like, the thing I love about the classic Mega Man series is that they're also very puzzle heavy, where it's like, well, not puzzle heavy in the traditional sense of take this item, take it to this area, and put it in block C, then turn the clock hands clockwise in order to be able to access the boss.
Right, it's more like, see what happens if you use, like, I couldn't access that by jumping. You come back with a different item later that can allow you to rise up in the air, and now all of a sudden you can get that stuff. So you can beat the levels in whatever order you want, and it does change.
Yeah, and finding the optimal route in order to be able to go through, to be able to beat the bosses, see which ones are weak to specific items. Like, obviously, Fireman is going to be weak against Bubble Man's lead bubble attack.
Right.
You know, stuff like that. And that's the reason why I think the game really holds up. And, you know, we don't have the Yellow Devil fight. So, you know, that's another
that's a plus.
Positive to this game.
To be fair, at least there's a way to cheese that.
Oh, you know, absolutely.
Like, and I had no shame in cheesing it when I played it.
No.
God, it's so hard.
Exactly.
But still, the final boss rush of this game is no joke.
Oh, no.
Even this fall is pretty unfair.
Yeah, no, you have to, like, really... Ooh, see, there you go.
I got one. Oh,
there
my
you
God,
go.
But I'm going to die, though.
Maybe. Let's see if you can get this jump.
Nope. Yeah, like, you can't.
Yeah, you would definitely need item 2.
Yeah, you would need an upgrade in order to pull it off.
But
so it's a trap. Yeah, it's a learning experience.
Exactly.
Kind of like Zelda, yeah. Except it's now a side-scrolling action game.
The thing I appreciate about this game and a lot of early games is that even if there's some BS mechanic or level design that you kind of get trapped by, it doesn't take very long for you to get back to where you were. And I think that's why later games in the series, like Mega Man 11, that came out not long ago, I didn't like it because those levels are actually really long.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, these are satisfying because you can beat them at the beginning, and also you can go back to any of them in any order and unlock stuff.
Exactly, right. And
so that E-Tank is actually gone, so you can actually spend your life in order to get it, so you don't feel bad about falling for a trap.
Exactly. Anything else you wanted to add to it?
It's a good game.
Yeah, it really is.
Really good game.
I would say if you wanted to pick a Mega Man out of the classic series, other than this one, maybe 3 and 4. 3's good. I really do like 3. Mainly for its graphical effects and just the new Robot Masters, but 4 is kind of pushing it. And 5 and 6, I'm not the biggest fan of. I tried.
Yeah. Hey, look, I did it. There.
Yeah, you did it. You got the metal blades and can like blaze through most of the game.
Yeah, hoo-ha. Anyway. So I really like a certain M game on the NES, and it's called Metroid. I love Metroid so much. Why would I not get this? I own this game physically, and I don't even have it NES.
Metro steroids, my favorite.
Yes. So I don't even have to like go into how much I freaking love this game, even though it's janky.
Yeah, I think that's probably the reason I didn't have it on my list.
It's so genius, though. Like, there's so much to this. Like, we're talking about non-linear open design, allowing you to go anywhere and do anything. I think the only things that are really holding this back are kind of fixed if you're playing the Famicom Disk System version, which we said NES, not Famicom Disk System.
Right.
Which allows you flat-out saving. Yeah, like, for example, like, I don't know if we, in our little theoretical, universe of like starting with this system, do we have a player 2? Because if I have a player 2 controller, even though I'm playing by myself, now I can warp. Because that's an extra function in Metroid 1. Like when you go down below here to go challenge Kraid, it's a long, arduous way back up.
Yeah.
Unless you can warp. And speedrunners, like, that's how you play the game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And this one, it's weird. Like, it has this energy system with points because it's trying to be all futuristic, and because of that, you have to actually, like, grind and pull that back up. So it's kind of like the most, like, an RPG out of any of the games in the series.
A little bit, yeah. And I think that's one of the other reasons I didn't put it on my list is that every time you boot this particular version of the game up, you have to
You start at 30 or something, like 35.
Flat 30,
it's
and
awful.
all your energy tanks, if you have any, are empty. Yeah.
Yep. At least you have them, though. That's the thing. So upon death, you keep everything that you have grabbed, even if you died grabbing it. Which is actually really generous for the NES.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It doesn't feel generous because the game is enormous.
Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't help that, like, a lot of the mine shafts and a lot of the hallways kind of feel copy-pasted to try to do that.
They do it on purpose to get into your head, to make you feel lost on an alien planet.
Man, those space pirates know what they're doing, because I'm sure as heck got lost.
Yeah, right. You know, the thing is, you don't even see a space pirate in this whole thing. I think the first time we ever see them is in Super Metroid.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we don't see any of the Zabazian pirates, until then, because for the longest time, you know, as a kid, I would have thought, like some of these...
in the manual.
Yeah,
you could have believed that those were them, too.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that everything I was fighting was a part of the space pirate, like... Armada, yeah, right.
Like a coalition, like in Star Wars.
Yeah, or like the Covenant or something like that from
That's
Halo,
another thing, like back then, I mean, like, you really felt like you were just, like, running around playing as Boba Fett, you know, on, like, an alien Star Wars.
Exactly,
thing.
yeah.
You know, that's kind of what the game was all about. Except it really makes you feel alone, and this is a game you really could play forever, and then you could learn how to do it fast, which is another really cool thing.
Yes.
We were just talking about how Excitebike is so cool because it's rewarding you based on your time, and then you don't realize it until you beat the game, but Metroid is also rewarding you based on your time.
Yeah, there's a theme with a lot of your games that are very much time-focused, and like getting better at these kind of games. Yeah.
Which is weird. Time makes me stressed out unless I'm having fun, and luckily these are, like, it's an excuse to play it more, I think is what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because if this was a point-chasing score game, I wouldn't care.
Oh, yeah, no,
In fact,
that.
I would probably, shoot all the enemies and get score. I don't care. No. You know, I want to be able to play through this and figure out, like, okay, hold on. But do I actually need to grab that energy tank? What if I was able to beat the next boss without it? Would I be able to get there faster? And then what I really adore is this is the first ever, I believe the first ever New Game Plus we've ever had, where if you beat the game fast enough and reveal that Samus is a woman, you actually immediately start a new run as the revealed Zero Suit Samus.
Yes.
Which the name really just comes from the Game Boy Advance, but you know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah, the monokini. Yeah,
Samus, right. Yeah. Well, it's actually the leotard. Luckily, you don't wear the bikini the whole time when you're playing this. But no, it's wonderful. I adore this so much. In fact, I have, I think, three other hacks just of this game alone on my system. Yeah,
the one hack or mod that I actually want to run through is still the base game, but they fix up it's the one where they put in the map with the select button, and they actually fix up the health system where you don't lose it.
Metroid Plus saving.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly,
that's one of it's outstanding. There is a mini map every time you pause. It's scrollable. There's so much that they did. It's great. But anyway, I could talk about this game forever. I clearly adore this.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it is janky. I'm telling you, it's janky.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so much fun. What's your next one, though?
All right. My next one is not exactly obscure, but it's not one that's really talked about much. It is River City Ransom.
There we go. Let's not talk about how long it took for me to find that. I have way too many NES games on here. Anyway, yeah, you could play this in multiplayer, too.
Exactly.
God, this game is so good.
Yep.
I almost put this on my list, too. There's so many. I was just like, God, this game is so great.
Yep. So, for those not really aware, River City Ransom is actually in Japan part of the Kunio-kun series of games, which are very much belt-scrolling beat-em-ups, where you play as Kunio-kun and you're just beating up thugs everywhere. In this game...
There's a ton of them we never got.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The River City Girls series is also alive because it's kind of rebooting this as well.
Exactly. It's the American spin-off of the Kunio-kun games. Because in the second one, you actually get to play as Kunio-kun. You can play as the boyfriends.
Right.
So, what I love about this game is that it is a very early example of, again, another open-world style game, where it's like... There's constant action, you know, there's all these dudes who have these goofy names and say the goofiest things once you beat them, like the one guy we just beat the crap out of said barf.
Yeah.
It's like, did he just throw up because I beat the crap out of him so bad?
But what I really love about this is the selling point, like why I'm not playing Double Dragon right now. Oh my god, aside from the fact that you can just grab people and chuck them around.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they also drop money. And we were just saying, like, in a shooter, how the money makes it so interesting. You take the money and you go to stores, and now you can buy meals, which not only gives you your health back, but you can actually, like, get permanent stat increases.
Yeah, because I was sitting here thinking, it's like, what is some of my... Because I love beat-em-ups.
What hit me?
You ran into a wall.
I ran into the wall.
Yeah, so you didn't lose health, you just dropped your chain. So yeah, when you come upon like sections of town that you can go to, with the money you've collected, you can actually buy upgrades, and different types of food and drink will actually do different things for you. Some food, I think, will increase your strength. Drinks increase, like, your stamina or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember. Everything does something. It's not really telling you, but I'm sure, once again, you have a manual.
Yeah, if you had the manual, it would definitely tell. Like, if we got some waffles.
Waffles!
Yep.
Would you like this? Yes, please. Look at that lovely, happy face. Gobble, gobble. Alex ate the waffles.
And he ate all of it.
Agility up. No, it does tell you.
Okay, good. Oh, it doesn't tell you straight up, only after you buy it.
It also doesn't tell you if you have bought something that you've already gotten those abilities. So you wouldn't, you'd have to remember, or just like purchase everything out of here.
We're gonna get some pancakes with them waffles.
Pig out.
Oh yeah, you've got the money. So it's that reason that I love this game too. It's got kind of pseudo RPG elements in this as well. Now that I kind of think about it.
Not even pseudo. It's RPG beat 'em up. Yeah, that's what it is. Like, I really wish this turned into like the evolution of like, how come we haven't gotten like a Street Fighter 5, because we actually got a Street Fighter 4, but like, how come we don't see like evolutions of those old beat 'em up games where we introduce like these RPG elements? If they exist, I don't know.
I'm sorry, for Street Fighter or Streets of Rage?
I'm sorry, Streets of Rage.
No,
you're fine. Street Fighter. Yeah, I meant Streets of Rage.
No, it's okay. I
or
figured.
Like Final Fight.
Yeah.
Like, how come we don't see like a new Final Fight where, well, I mean, is SNK?
No, Final Fight is still Capcom.
Yeah, okay. Then, like, how come we're not seeing any of this stuff?
I don't know, because Street Fighter 6 is making them boatloads of money right now.
Yeah, but, like, there's so much you could do.
Yeah, it could just be a fun little side game where it's like, you know, just
kind of like what Sega's doing. Yeah, just, like, going back and revisiting a bunch of stuff that they have that they're just not using.
Yeah,
We
right.
still probably should have an entire Hitbox episode just discussing the whole revitalization of what Sega is doing right now. Because
I could be down for that.
yeah, I'm pretty scared, but at the same
too.
time, it's because I don't want to be hurt.
Yeah, especially with some of these games I hold so dear.
Yes.
As silly as that sounds, I really do hold some of the games that they have in high regard. So if they go back and
It
mess
can
up,
be messed up so
yeah.
much. That's why I think it's so scary.
And modern Sega is a far cry from like Dreamcast and Genesis era Sega.
Right.
Radio
Yes.
City Ransom, also, if you want, it's actually available standalone on the Switch if you wanted to
NSO.
grab that.
Yep.
Well, not only NSO, you can actually buy it by itself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have the option. So if you don't even want NSO, there you go.
I actually own that. Even though I have NSO,
That's
I
cool.
have another
yeah,
version.
good. Well, then if NSO when NSO goes down, because it will, it's not forever. Then yeah, you are going to have at least a digital version of that on there.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So my next one
Yeah.
is Ninja Gaiden.
Not Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Gaiden.
Nah, get out of here, homophobes.
That's not what I meant.
No, this game is so freaking amazing.
Oh, this game is so good.
I should have actually, I'm going to reset because I want to see that opening cutscene. It is
go
so
for it.
freaking cool. Plus, it'll also let me talk about this. We talked about Ninja Gaiden already, how cool this is, but
Yes.
even as an actual physical cartridge, and I'm not having any of that nonsense where I can save state and all that in order to actually get through the game, I still think this is worth playing on physical hardware. Yep, there it goes. Okay, yep, I was being an idiot. You have to just let it idle.
Yeah.
I was too excited because here, like I
it's
was
a great
saying,
game,
if you have a physical cartridge of this, now you might start getting infuriated, but if this really is a forever game, luckily, the controls in Ninja Gaiden may be the best in any 2D platformer with action platformer on the console.
Yeah.
It is so clean. The reason that it's so hard is because of the unrelenting enemies.
Yeah.
The incredible damage that they deal. The knockback that'll send you falling into the pits. So it's memorization, mostly. So
Yes.
beating a game this hard with no nonsense, it's the memorization. And luckily, it does kind of have that Castlevania checkpoint. This really is based on Castlevania in its combat. You can even see on the top screen when we get into gameplay, it's Castlevania.
Yeah, instead of a gothic horror game, it's an urban fantasy.
Yeah, ninjas, but also demons. It's super weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, the only thing that would really kill this is when you finally get to the end. If you lose to the final boss, which you almost certainly will, it'll kick you all the way back to the beginning of the previous world. And after that point, you will no longer get heals between the boss phases.
Correct.
Meaning you pretty much have to start the entire game over again to have a chance. That is, like, if you fix that one thing, and maybe, like, started the respawn at the front of the boss instead, all of a sudden I'm saying, like, this is probably one of the best NES games ever made. In fact, it would probably be my favorite.
I can get behind that, actually. Yeah, because I think it was actually a bug in the code where it would where either you would not get the health back or it kicked you back so far.
I'm not sure, because when time comes for Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3, they would be even more
cruel. They did the same thing?
Yeah, if not worse. Some of them were even worse.
Okay.
So I think it's deliberate, which is really despicable.
Dang, yo.
But yeah, so it's still so much fun. Like, the action platforming and all that, the speed at which you can play this. This is probably, in my opinion, the most interesting NES game to watch in speedruns.
Oh, absolutely.
Because this is something where you're watching absolute wizardry. People whizzing through this.
Oh yeah, I mean, game dev to me, I mean, I'm learning some because I'm interested in the craft, but it's like, it's still black magic to me, and it's just basically another, like you said, another form of black magic that people are like, up, right, gotta go over here, gotta manipulate the pixels because I know how to do that. It's like, how do you know these things?
Or like, yeah, manage to turn around in purpose and knock back and jump my way into something else.
Yeah, like bunny hopping up the side of a building so you don't have to do the whole back and forth jump.
Climbing up one thing because you can.
Oh my god, it's crazy.
Like that.
Yeah, you've got to get that loop just
so
right.
freaking hard.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a fantastic game, and the story itself, it's hokey, but it's still actually for a Nintendo game.
I think the first one's the best.
Yeah, it's really well told for a Nintendo game. So,
yeah, it actually feels like you're watching like an 80s action movie. It's really good.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to put this in as well, but I'm like, I already have Castlevania, and this is so much like Castlevania, and I love Castlevania regardless. So it's like, I'll just stick with Castlevania 1.
He just turned around.
Let's see. Wow, he blended with the wall. That ninja's smart.
Run and blow this guy up in a bar, and then you get your next
cutscene.
Yeah, next time on Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, this is like not something you get on this console.
No.
At all. So this is so cool. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of tech wizardry they went through just to be able to put these in the game and have them function.
Yeah.
Because this has taken up genuine space that they could have used for something else, but the fact that they did it...
Yeah, these sprites are huge. That they're like... They're panning over, the color, the sound, the timing, all of it. I don't know how they did it.
I don't know
amazing.
Either. It is absolutely great.
Considering like how small the file sizes of these games are. Anyway, what is your next one?
My next and last one for the 10 I would have wanted as a kid, the yellow box one.
The yellow box one?
The yellow box one. Super Mario Brothers 3.
How about before we get to that, we do mine, because the alphabetical's before then?
Let me guess. Super Mario Brothers 1?
Mario Brothers 1.
Mario Brothers 1.
I also have Mario Brothers 3.
Ah, okay.
Okay,
good,
so
good,
we will get there too. This
Okay.
was the one where Mario 3 was actually the last one I added. So I was like, I'm not entirely sure, because to me, this is the perfect arcade game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I
Mario
get it.
1. Like, sure, there's absolutely none of like that hub world or like the crazy power-ups and like finding all the crazy secrets in the world.
But it's got its own rules and its own set of secrets that you want to go through and find. It's what establishes. Yeah.
It's very basic, but it's also so much fun.
Yeah. And like the fact that you can beat it in a day.
Oh, you can beat it in 5 minutes if you know what you're doing. Really know what you're doing.
Yep.
Like, I just passed up a star because I'm an idiot and I didn't know what I was doing.
That's fine. It's still...
I played this a million times.
Yeah, it still throws me out because I'm so used to like later Mario games where if you hold A, you can jump off the enemies when that wasn't a thing in the original Super Mario Brothers.
But anyway, like, I love how there's, like, even this first world teaches you everything you need to know about how the game works.
Oh yeah, no, this game is iconic and evergreen for a reason. But yeah, the fact that you can find secrets like actually going up above
over the ceiling.
Yep, and behind the numbers, like isn't that actually kind of silly? But it actually leads to a secret where you can warp to the next set of stages. And it's that kind of sense of discovery and that sense of like wanting to play the game again and again and again and again to find all those secrets.
And then you'll need to because you'll realize that the game has 8 worlds in it.
4 stages each, yeah. And that's, honestly, that's actually pretty long.
It is, yeah. Considering how each one has four levels, and we've only seen 2. We haven't even seen 1 full level, like, world yet. There's so much to it.
Right, and the fact that it's like, it's got enough variety to where it can build off of certain mechanical ideas and reiterate them and make them a little more difficult as the game goes on, like the Lakitu levels. Where it's like, the first one introduces Lakitu and the Spinies, and he'll throw them at you as he chases you to keep ahead. And in later stages, there's more hazards. Like, I think there's a stage where you fight some Hammer Brothers while dealing with him as well. But it's that, there's just enough variety to break up the levels from feeling very samey.
Yeah, and if we didn't take any warps, we would immediately get an underwater level. And then when you finally get to your final level, after, you know, you've also fought castles, you are dealing with everything mixed together. You're dealing with your underground, you're dealing with your... Oh, I just killed myself. You're dealing with, like, the underground, you're dealing with the water, and you're dealing with fighting a castle. And it's, like, all spun together with a maze. It's genius. I love this. Considering what we didn't have before, and it is still something that I want to go back and play, an original black box, that's outstanding. But Mario 3.
Mario 3.
Wow. What a jump.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in the States where you're used to, like, the idea of Super Mario Brothers 2 was Super Mario Brothers 2.
I'd say the bigger jump would have been in Japan, because what they saw for 2 was Lost Levels, which looked identical to the first one, but was just crazy hard.
Yep.
This was the first time that we were really getting what Mario means.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like, this is the one that adds the open, the map layout of the series. This is the one that introduces a lot of more iconic power-ups aside from the mushroom.
Well, the mushroom looks like a mushroom now.
Yeah, the mushroom actually looks like a mushroom.
The Koopas look the way that we recognize them. I can scroll backwards.
Yeah, you can scroll backwards. And the fact that the screen not only scrolls left to right easily, but it also scrolls up and down, and it can go diagonal. It's just those technical additions that really help set this game up. Yeah, you can grab, carry, and kick things now. You don't just jump on things and immediately kick them. Like, it's... Oh my god, I don't know.
There's so much.
Yeah, there's so much, and there's a reason why. Like, so I did go back and finally beat Super Mario World.
Oh gosh, that game is so good.
That game is so good.
I don't understand why it took you so long.
I don't know, honestly.
Oh, whoops. See, but there, yeah.
Yeah.
Now you know
secrets.
next time. Yep, secrets everywhere.
Yeah, more secrets than ever before. Secret exits, like the first one. Where I love Super Mario World for its design and the way that levels work. I absolutely adore Super Mario Bros. 3 for the kooky power-ups and just for the sheer amount of exploration that you have, especially in an NES game.
Oh yeah, this is such a huge jump. Like on NES, this is no question. This is just enormous.
Absolutely.
What I love about World, not to get above that,
yeah,
is that World...
Because with me, World takes an awful lot of the concepts introduced in this, and in a lot of ways refines and makes them better.
Yes, but also, there's a lot of levels in this that, like, you probably wouldn't have played if you were doing warp whistles, or obviously since the map is open, you could choose which places to go to. Some of the stages are really bad in this one, like, really annoying mazes and things with, like, almost impossible traps unless you know the secret.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, secrets are great. Like, there, knowing that that star was going to be in there. That's cool, I like that, because now I'm going to find it later. But the problem is, like, it wasn't as fun. Like, some of the world, like, every single stage in Mario World is a winner. Whereas there's some duds in here. But I think this had to figure it out first in order to craft something so clean as Mario World.
Right. I get it. I still favor this one quite an awful lot. And honestly, if it wasn't for something like Dragon Quest III, Mario 3 would be my absolute favorite NES game. What about you? Since that's all of mine, what do you got left?
I have one last one.
What do we got?
Even though there's so many others, I could go through the entire library and be like, but I wouldn't play that. Tetris. Not something that I would ever expect myself to have chosen.
Tetris,
but this is my favorite version of Tetris.
Really?
Yes.
I thought about putting this in, but I'm like, I love the Game Boy version a lot better.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, it's just, I guess, something about the form factor and the fact that it's something that you can easily play on the go. And it's just, for me, it is a quintessential Game Boy game instead of a quintessential NES game. But, I mean, I can totally understand you putting this in the NES. Like, if you had a forever NES game and you only had 10 games to choose from.
Yes.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a forever game. Especially considering what people are able to do with it recently.
Yeah,
like, in the past, month, it seems.
Yeah.
People keep doing more and more outrageous things in this as they're discovering crazy ways to, like, tap the back of the controller so they can push it even faster than the controller was even designed for you to go.
Yep.
So that you can move something radically far to the left or the right so that when the speeds get inhumanly fast, you can still play.
And that crazy kid who, like, basically beat, in essence, this version of the game.
Yeah, and I think his brother just demolished his score.
Woo.
Yeah, like, it's history in the making, and it keeps going. It's crazy. People are so good at this game. It's unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I will play Tetris casually, and it's like, I get nowhere near to the score like some of these people get. But that's not the point. The point is you're just trying to have fun with the falling block game. One that I think, speaking on it as an adult, it's actually really culturally significant.
Yes.
Not only because of the fact that it was just such a phenomenon, but the fact we were actually able to play this while the Soviet Union was still kicking. And that Alexei Pajitnov was actually able to get compensation and get recognized for the great work he did on making this game on a freaking computer that didn't have proper graphics. It was all just text. That would be my reason to put it in, but like I said, I prefer the Game Boy version. I hear too that the Atari Tengen version that was available on this is the better version of this game. I haven't played it, so I don't have a horse in that race.
Yeah, yeah.
But heck, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, but anything else you wanted to add about this game?
No, it's Tetris, man. It's just something you can play forever. It's really great. I probably should have turned the speed up a little higher too, but still, that's really that. Honestly, there's so many different games that we could have played on here, and we were just looking at the base library for it. Like I was saying, if we have the Famicom disk system, or if you're just looking into emulating this whole console in general, there's hacks that fix up stuff, like Castlevania 2. There's like a completely repaired version where you can actually listen to what people are trying to tell you. The weird quirks of the game are ironed out. There's so many fixes. Like we said, Metroid plus saving. There's so much, and I hope that people go back and keep playing these, because even today, I see so many games that are still coming out and people are excited about it, and I look at it like, you're not going to care about that in a month. A month. It's going to be nothing. It is going to be completely washed away. It's going to be nothing. And then the same people are going to move on to the next big thing, and they're just never going to learn their lesson. Just go back and play something that you know you're going to enjoy.
Yeah, and also, too, it's like, I know we've talked about, like, some bad games that have been coming up in recent memory and just trying to really, like, say, don't worry about these. Honest to God, sometimes they're really not worth the hassle of even talking up. Because, you know, remember how everyone was jumping on Square Enix for Forspoken? Does anyone remember Forspoken?
Exactly. It's not a thing. So just, and why are people thinking, oh, but I'm a streamer, I gotta play the new thing? No, just don't play it. Just, if you're not gonna have fun with it, if you already know that you're not gonna like it, if it just looks bad, just don't.
Right.
Just save yourself. You have so little time to actually play games. Play something that you enjoy. I'm sure there's whole series. Is there at least one of the games that we talked about today that you haven't played? Those are like some of the biggest games on this console. And just because some people think like, oh, the NES is not worth playing anymore, they're out of their minds. Right. Those are people who just don't actually know anything about games at all, or respect the medium enough, and you shouldn't really respect their opinion if they don't respect what you do. So, yeah, that's that. I like the NES though, gosh darn it.
I do too. Like, it's not my favorite console to go back to revisit games, but good golly gosh, the games on it are amazing.
Yeah, and I probably still would have taken several of the 10 games that I selected and went back to Blockbuster and tried to, you know, return, exchange, try some other ones out, and kept going, you know, get Mega Man 2, River City Ransom, Final Fantasy. There's so many great ones.
Oh, absolutely.
You can only have a great time, especially if you've played like Castlevania 1 a million times. You, as that kid, would say, you know, I really want to play the others. There's 2 more. I guess I'm gonna bring my Castlevania 1 back in. I've beaten this 4 times or so. I'm gonna play Castlevania 2. You'd regret that right away, but still, at least you could. You know, like, that's the thing. I really wish that you know, people would go back and at least give it a shot, because for how fast you can just boot these things up.
Yeah.
You got nothing to lose. But anyway, that is all the time we have for now. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of HitBox. If you enjoy the show, you can help us keep it alive by supporting us on Patreon with the links in the show notes and this video's description. For those of you on YouTube, remember to like the video and subscribe for more, and be sure to let us know what you thought of the show and what other topics you'd like to hear us cover in the future. And special thanks to all of our amazing Patreon members. Boop.
See ya.